So thank you, everyone, and thank you for the kind invitation. I was very happy to be here because I actually used to work for a while here in Manchester at Christie at the L3LUNG unit, and I know I have a lot of friends here. So yesterday, I mean, this is a picture, an old picture, and yesterday we bring also the snow, and it was a very, very, very familiar moment. So, and I'm very also happy to hear all these experts. So thank you to everyone, Victor, Rosalba, and Sabine, your amazing presentation, really. So I'm going to talk about the I3LUNG project, which I, let's say, I'm coordinating internationally. But with two main, let's say, in two main domains. One is how we can and how we develop let's say, AI tools to as decision support systems for doctors, but also at least two tools dedicated to the patient. So, first of all, just to introduce you I3LUNG, we had a very important unmet clinical need. Everyone, I think that most of you knows that immunotherapy has revolutionized our, let's say, clinical practice in different cancer types, and still in among oncologists, also in small cell lung cancer, 70% of them, one of the main challenges, how we can address immunotherapy candidates or patient candidates and which type of immunotherapy, which type of combination. So still this is a hot topic and was for me also 4 years ago when I designed this trial during my PhD in bioengineering. So basically, this is a systematic review. Just was during my PhD, I wrote this to show how much, let's say, people are talking about, obviously, the use of AI tools for discovering immunotherapy biomarker, and this data cutoff for this systematic was 2022, end of October. So obviously now the logarithmic papers using AI in cancer and immunotherapy are many. I mean, there are many data there. But the main message is that, as you can see, also in 2023 and 24, we are more and more designing prospective trial using, obviously, AI methodologies and also digital trials. So just to let you know, I was saying one of the main, let's say, here point in the I3LUNG was to discover eventually new biomarkers that can help us. So just for example, I wanted to show you these slides from the World Cancer Congress this year presented by Marina Garasino. I mean, it was a simple, let's say, probably for the first time, this biomarker in a prospective trial, let's say, designed to understand which are the patients that can benefit from these anti-TROP treatments. You know that now we have the new generation of these drugs, which are ADC, and they are very famous. But this is one of the situations that we would like to see, how a biomarker, this is a digital biomarker, using a continuum scoring of the TROP in the using digital pathology. But as you can see, these is a predictive biomarker, because the only curve that separates all the other three curves is the biomarker positive and the experimental drug arm. So this means that these are also interesting, let's say, biomarkers that using AI and digital health we need to know. However, with the I3LUNG, the idea was, let's say, to go more in depth and to see if using broader data, so other type of data such as real-world data and next generation of real-world data. I like to call them like that because we have images, which we have for clinical practice, but we don't use them, let's say, we don't exploit them as at least until now. And so using AI can help us to exploit a bit more. This is a nice, let's say, article related in Nature, which cited our project, because one of the main things here was that we have many FDA and also CA digital tools in radiation, in diagnostic, for example, but however, we don't have still now and hopefully in the next years, we will have more treatment selections, tools, and decision support system. So L3LUNG, it's an European-founded project. It includes 16 partners, 6 cancer centers. It's multidisciplinary related. A lot of projects now. So with AI experts in small and medium industries, cancer centers, excellent cancer centers in Europe, so in Spain, Germany, Greece, Italy, University of Chicago in US and Israel. And the aim is to develop a set of tools by using real-world data and next-generation real-world data and also omic data to predict one physician-based tool, patient-based tools, and also researcher-based tools. So these are the patient cohort. We have, let's say, one retrospective cohort using real-world data and using image data. However, there are also other 3 prospective cohorts, one using image data and real-world data, other 2 cohorts which are used, let's say, to exploit the role of omic data in decision support systems. So just to let you know the level of the omic data that we are collecting in these trials. So next generation of real-world data, images and clinical. At the blood level, different omics. Also at tissue level, different omics. And single cell and microbiome. But the main question is, so how we will integrate all these data in clinical practice? This is what we, let's say, need to answer. And what we meant to do with this trial is to try to find, and we hypothesized that we are able to predict, let's say, to create a tool just using real-world data and images and real-world data genomics, because, by the way, for example, in lung cancer, we are using real-world data genomics, and which would be able for 80% of patients to predict immunotherapy, while for another 20% of patients, which we call difficult situations, probably we will test which are the diagnostic paths that we have to use and to rationalize the use of all these omics, so how we can guide the diagnostic path to answer and to predict also difficult situations, difficult histories of patients. So this is, let's say, the infrastructure that we have designed. It's a centralized platform which have different layers. One layer is the communication layer and the telemedicine with patient. Another layer was, let's say, to try to gather all the informations and from the patient, so the layer more concentrated to the data. Then are, let's say, all the interactions layers to predict, for example, to analyze the tools. And finally, there is another human interaction infrastructure layer which try, let's say, to explain all the models that has been created. So this is actually the real infrastructure that I displayed here, different dashboards. We have enrolled already 2,640 patients. More than 2,300 patients are from retrospective cohort, and we have already enrolled 297 patients from the prospective cohort. So this is just a poster that was recently published, presented in ESMO. It refers to how we can, using digital pathology, predict, let's say, one of the most used biomarker, PD-L1. But it's just an exploratory analysis because the main aim is how we can shift all this data in a new paradigm. So not an algorithm-focused paradigm and performance paradigm, but more human-centralized AI. So to do that, we have designed within L3LUNG, let's say, 2 main sub-studies for the tool. One is physician-oriented and another one is patient-oriented. And the aim of these tools is to try to understand the awareness of these AI tools among patients and among doctors. In fact, we have, let's say, in the IBDAS, which is the tool dedicated to the patient, we have a randomized patient without the tool and patient with the tool, while in the other hand, we will, let's say, use this first tool that we have created and give this tool to the doctor, and they will be able to decide together with the tool or without the tool, or together with the tool and with the explainability of the tool and without the tool. So the thing is that we are, trying to face and understand the bias anchoring of doctors through these new tools that will come up in clinical practice very soon. But also, on the other hand, we need to think that patients are also, not all of them, but most of them, and are very aware about these new type of tools and want to participate in the decision making. And this is, in fact, why we created these co-decision making tools. Just to show you how this IBDAS was created, for example, we have in an introduction summary to the patient, which are, let's say, based on his condition, which are the treatment options. Then we explain them, let's say, all the treatment options, but also all the toxicity related, let's say, to these treatment options. Then we, obviously, we explain a bit also comparing the difference between the treatments and between also the outcomes and toxicities. And then try to make a final quiz to understand which are, what they understood from this. And this IBDAS, it's foreseen to be given to the patients before the patient-doctor consultation, in order them to be more aware and to be more prepared, also to make question. It happens to everyone. When we finish the first visit, it's very, difficult to, let's say, to try to explain everything, especially the first visit consultation. So, obviously, as we said, we have different states here, cultures, we have faced with different, let's say, awareness, and we are trying to understand to make also, let's say, a lot of communications and the reporting to see. But we need to understand that at least for some of these patients, these can be very useful tools. So just to shift a bit, let's say, to the L3LUNG biological aims, we are shifting, as you know, in a new next generation AI area, so from predictive AI to generative AI. And obviously we need, let's say, to phase with them also within trials that we are running. We have now finished the L3LUNG is a 5-year trial, and we are now after 2.5 years. So we are in the middle. And we are trying to be up to date and integrate all the new technologies that are very fast and are, coming. So from that point of view, we have integrated, for example, within the decision-making, the decision support system tool, different foundation models. Some of you for sure are familiar with foundation models. Some of you probably not. Just to simply explain, foundation models are models that try to exploit different type of data, use technologies such as self-supervised learning, or these new transformers, which try, let's say, to predict and to create models, which are called foundation models, just with the input, without having the outcome of the patient. This was a very big effort and in terms of technology, because allowed us to use a lot of data that we have sparse in clinical practice, but without knowing, let's say, the outcomes of these data. Why are these foundation models important and for our, let's say, models? Because allow us to extract meaningful features, for example, for new data sets, such as in the L3LUNG, we have these 2,300 patients using, having the input but also the output. So we specialize these foundation models, giving them other type of data, but especially the outcomes, and they are able, let's say, to, in this case, we do not start from scratch, but we are able to develop, let's say, knowledge and to use the knowledge that these foundation models has built within other type of data. This is thanks to this new next AI generation, which is generative AI. I was very happy because this year in ESMO was also presented in the presidential sessions these foundation models, which is called GigaPath, using 1.3 billion images. And we have already integrated this in our pipelines. And I mean, it's just a way how we can advance with technology, except beyond also the data. So another important thing that we are doing in L3LUNG, and I mean, we let's say discussed together, Sabine show us, it's very important for the algorithms and also for this decision support system and tools also to audit the fairness of these models, at least to try to address which are the fairness, which are the unfairness of our models, at least to see the limitation of our models. I know that will not be perfect because tomorrow it's impossible to have perfect models or perfect tools that apply to everyone, but at least knowing which are, let's say, the biases and also the unfairness that we cannot address, it's very relevant for these tools before they go in the approval CE market. And this was a perspective very interesting from Mahmoud Faisal lab, which is one of the biggest important name in this field. And this is what we have done with L3LUNG. We are auditing from the A to the Z, from the data to the modeling, all the fairness of the models. I think, I mean, this is a good suggestion for, especially for the ones that are creating decision support systems and that take a decision, treatment decision for patients. Large language models, you know very well, that are very useful, and we are trying to exploit their potential within L3LUNG. So this is what we have done for 9 months with our retrospective data. So we put it within a centralized platform, so L3LUNG is centralized. However, we had 9 months rebuttal with each of these centers to quality check our data. So it takes a lot of time. The different data entries has different roles. And so the message is that we really need to see how we can exploit, also to save sometimes, because we don't have, let's say, so much time also to do this. So for example, within L3LUNG, we are trying to use the potential of all these large language models and to understand the automatic data entry and to see which is the error rate that we can accept compared to the human error rate. So finally, which I think is the more interesting part of this meeting, is that we have developed also this mobile app within L3LUNG, and was meant to, let's say, focalize in 4 different points, so different activities. One is the CAF monitoring. CAF for us in lung cancer is very important, but also for immunotherapy in terms of toxicity is very important. Also, as Victor mentioned, the clinical activity is very important, and also we, let's say, implemented this. Also, emotional recognition for some patient can be really interesting. Also, to see their, as Sabine described, their compliance, because sometimes patients who are not, let's say, compliant with digital are also compliant not with the pill. So we have noticed it within interventional clinical trials. So we need to understand a bit more. And what this app mobile is using, let's say, cognitive sensing and deep learning systems to acquire in a transparent way all these signals and try to convert them in features. And obviously, we try to analyze these features. So this is just a very fast analysis that we have done with the first, let's say, CAF analysis. We included data from retrospective and prospective patients, but also compare that with healthy individuals. And the very nice thing is that, as you can see with this machine learning, and also we use deep learning, explainable AIs systems, try to understand, and you can see here with a high specificity and sensitivity, we were able to discriminate between tumor and healthy, for example, non-small cell lung cancer patient and healthy population. Just to give you, this was the first example to see how CAF analysis and how these exposome, let's say, data for novel quality of life endpoints can be really relevant. While this is a very interesting, let's say, example, how we are monitoring longitudinally this patient for the CAF analysis. For example, this is a patient, a real patient, that has begun the diagnosis. We started to monitor his CAF when he started chemoimmunotherapy. As you can see here, we see some troubles, for example, in some signals during radiation therapy, because he has symptoms, by the way. And after that, he has a remission of these symptoms, and these are the signals. As you can see, we don't have, let's say, signals in this moment. And the final, when he experienced toxicity, so we can see that the signal started again, let's say, to be there. So this is a real example how we can monitor it in the area, for example, in this case, an L3LUNG for immunotherapy, toxicity, or anticipate any progression, but imagine how useful can be also for relapse detection, or to guide us to, during follow-up, for example, to underwent patient for CT scan or for other type of treatments. So let me finish. We are in the digital trial, but also for us are very important digitalization, and also, and I finished, thank you, and but also having and gathering, as said Rosalba before, prospective trials with biodata-driven model. It's really important. So this is I wanted to show you this Apollo 11 trial, which is a biodata-driven model built 4 years before. And the idea was to, let's say, prospectively collect data, material, and using these federated and decentralized systems, let's say, to put the data together, not moving, let's say, physically the data. But I think it's a good example, because the patients from Italy, they designed together with me the one-shot informed consent. We are not going back, let's say, with different consents. It's a new type of model. It's very difficult because we did a lot of rebuttals with ethical committees for this trial. But it's a message to say that we are changing how we are doing clinical trials in digitalization, but also in terms of prospective and observational and translational trial. Thank you very much for the attention, and training also it's fundamental, such as today, so thank you.